Buffs Nation, what is going on? Hopefully, you guys are having a wonderful Tuesday. Of course, before I get started, please be sure to check out Yo Martez. SCO Buffs promo code 10% off. Get yourself some nice merch, some shirts, especially since the holidays are coming up soon. But apologies, I'm a little late. Had to get this coffee going. But let me know who's watching, what your thoughts are on this. We got a lot to talk about, which is great. So, first point of business, it was announced today that Alton McCaskill is going to redshirt the rest of the 2023 season. Going to focus on continuing to rehab, get stronger, get ready for that 2024 season where we should have at least a half decent offensive line that can, that can block for him and all that. Overall, my thoughts on this, let me know what your thoughts are on this, but I don't have an issue with it. I think that's great. Would love to get him, some extra time in recovery to get ready for this 2024 season. I think that we've been using a handful of backs in the rotation. I don't see a downside right now in terms of consolidating with Hankerson, Dylan Edwards, Sy'veon Wilkerson, a handful of the guys that we got right now. So no issue with this on my end at all. I think, again, when I go back to the things that I was right and wrong on going into this season that I covered with Rawhide a few weeks ago, that was definitely one of the things I was totally wrong about. I think that Alton's recovery and getting fully up to speed has taken a lot longer than I initially anticipated. And that's just what happens sometimes with these ACLs. Not going to freak out about it. This makes sense. And I think it's a smart decision on his end as well. I want to give a quick shout out to everybody here in the chat. Technically T, Patrick Williams, Stanford, NB. Who's the new running back one now? Well, I think it still stands to be Anthony Hankerson. When I see Alton run, you can see he's still not right, J-Dot. Yes, you're absolutely right. And sometimes you see this with guys coming off the ACL. It can take another handful of months to trust it, or to have that strength that you're used to the knee having. So this is not surprising. I think it's a good decision, especially because he's had minimal usage. And I think that's why you've probably not seen him get the amount of carries that we've been clamoring for or that we've been wanting to see. To me, it just does not seem like his knee is fully there. That probably explains things a little bit. And it makes sense of why he's going to take the rest of the season to redshirt. Really smart decision, I think, on his end. That way he doesn't lose any eligibility for this year. So he'll still come in next year. I had this wrong a few weeks ago. This was his third year in college, but just his junior season, but just his sophomore season when it came to eligibility, he'll still enter in next year as a sophomore as well. So big boost for our running back group long term. Absolutely. Stanford says, I would like to see them play another quarterback and see if that line lets him get touched. Hey, man, at this point, Coach Prime was saying today in the press conference how he feels like they're going to get their best performance of the week. I sure hope so, because this UCLA game and this Oregon game was really rough. We weren't getting hands on guys. We weren't even, Shedeur wasn't even able to get into his drop back before he's having to evade guys. We got to play better. Now, this is kind of transitioning me over to talking about recruiting a little bit. This is great news that we have right now with an edge from the state of Georgia that is KingJoseph Edwards. What better of a name? KingJoseph. Royalty. I love that. But man, this is a big deal. We've seen On Three give him, I think, a couple of crystal balls coming to Colorado. 24/7 has a guy that is also crystal ball, KingJoseph Edwards, to Colorado as well. Let's go ahead and look at his profile a little bit so we can just get an idea of who this guy is. and he's visiting this weekend, I believe. So let me go ahead and get this up, the screen share, and then I'll get into your comments afterwards, as always. But I mean, man, another 6'4" defensive end edge guy, similar to Brandon Davis-Swain. We're bringing the edge guys. We are bringing the edge guys. This would be, I think, our third front seven commitment from the state of Georgia for this class, which would be great. Playing in Mel Creek, rated 90 overall, number 20 edge in the country, according to 24/7, 35th player in Georgia. This is a big deal. This is definitely a big deal. So right now, it's a 3-horse race between Colorado, Florida State, and Ole Miss. Nick Williams doing his thing. I'll go ahead and read his scouting report that came earlier from Andrew Ivins, Director of Scouting. Let's go ahead and read this. A jumbo athlete with twitch and developmental upside. At one point, billed himself as more as a tight end, but ceiling appears to be the highest as an edge rusher given his ability to bend and change directions. Has tested in the upper percentile for his age multiple times, owning a 30-inch vertical jump to go along with a blazing 7.3 effort in the 3-cone drill. Weight has fluctuated over the years, which could very well be a byproduct of a shoulder injury he suffered as a junior, but looks like the type of prospect that could eventually carry 255 pounds or more. Tends to win with his initial get-off and burst as he maneuvers his way around opponents and quickly closes gaps. However, needs to give more consistent effort on a snap-to-snap basis if he wants to be a true difference maker up front. Has been asked to operate out of the 3-point stance as a senior, but looks to be the most comfortable standing up in the corner and could find plenty of success in an odd man front. Must avoid setbacks and buy into the process at a program of his choice after attending 3 different high schools in 3 consecutive years. Woo! But has some raw tools required to make an impact on Saturdays. Likely going to need a red shirt to improve play strength and refine technique. Okay. Let's see if we got any more evaluations here. I don't think so, but go ahead. 2021 two-way player at Hebron Christian Academy, getting snaps at tight end and wide receiver along with the D-line. Ended up with 82 receiving yards and the TD on offense, while also making 42 tackles and a sack on defense. 2022, attended Buford, which competed in Georgia's highest classification. I believe this is where Amontre Bradford is coming from as well. Missed significant time due to a shoulder injury, but saw game action in the playoffs against Walton, named Alpha Dog of the Under Armour All-America Camp Series stop in Atlanta by 247 Sports during spring months. And then this year, transferred into Mill Creek ahead of the senior season, totaled 18 tackles, 7 quarterback hurries, 6 pass breakups, 5 sacks, and an interception through 9 games. Quite impressive stuff right there. So, yeah, he would be a big boost. He would be not the third, he would be the fourth, because I had forgotten about Amontre Bradford. But if we go ahead and look at the visits here, you guys can see we got KingJoseph is not visiting this week. He's visiting here in about a month. Friday, December 1st, 2023. He's coming here. We have a tight end prospect, Roger Saleapaga. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Tight end, 6'4", 200 pounds. Coming over here from Orem, Utah, I believe is how you pronounce it. But, Montre Bradford, not from Buford, my bad. Coming over here from Statesboro. And we'll just have to see. Brandon Davis-Swain, another edge guy, another defensive line guy that we already got here for the class. Let's just go ahead and take a look right now at our commitments. I do have to give some money to the 5430 Foundation, the NIL collective for the new commits that we got, which is great. Isaiah Walker, we'll see what kind of rating he gets. At the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. But him coming in here, look, he's been given this weight of 309 pounds at 6'4". This guy's going to be a huge addition to the offensive line. Really appreciate to all who chimed in for our chat yesterday with Rawhide Media talking about the offensive line, where we go from here. Yikes. We got some work to do. I think it's got to be better coached. I think we have to continue to really be pushing the recruiting in this offensive line. If we can get Jordan Seaton here, oh man, that would just be such a huge boost along with Talon Chandler coming here. And we got Isaiah Walker, who's a big boy. But here again, Aaron Butler, going to be a stud playing wide receiver. Brandon Davis-Swing, going to be a stud playing defensive line. We got Omar White, who's going to be here in January as well. This guy, 4-star recruit, before he didn't play his senior year. That's why he got moved down to 3-star. Eric Brantley, one of his teammates, he's going to be here. More so an edge guy, but again, solid size, 250 pounds. You love to see that. So Carl Lewis, speedy wide receiver that's going to make a difference. Danny O'Neal, a quarterback that could make some noise here in the quarterback room, using his legs a lot more this year. I think he had over 600 rushing yards right now for the year. Really impressive. Montre Bradford, another edge coming over here. 6'5", 240 pounds from Statesboro, Georgia. His cousin, Cam McKell, might be on his way over here as well, which would be fantastic. And then we round out the group with Talon Chandler. This guy's going to be an absolute menace on this offensive line. And then Michael Welsh, a really solid running back that can do just about everything that you ask for. Could be the thunder to Dylan Edwards' lightning long term. So I think, the fact that we're still having a lot of these good recruiting news, the pieces start to trickle out, even with struggling against our last few opponents, is a very strong sign. And again, rebuilds like this, man, they do not happen overnight. Again, want to stress perspective. Yes, man, does it hurt? Does it hurt when we get the offensive line, man, when they just get beat on every play because that game was in reach? Yes, we are close. But you can see here, we are making progress on shoring up the trenches on both sides of the ball. I think right now we definitely have more momentum right now going to our defensive front seven than we have with our offensive line. But if we truly are able to get Jordan Seaton to commit here, that's going to be absolutely substantial. And I think you're going to see more commits come along the way as well. So with that being said, let me go ahead and get to your comments, see what you guys have to say. Sorry, man, the lighting here isn't the best, but I don't have these books right now to give myself a little standing desk, but I'm trying to do what I can. All right. Sleepy Floyd, I'm glad they redshirted him. Yes, it's the right thing to do, especially with the depth that we have at running back right now. Let's not risk any re-injury, re-aggravation. Let's get him committed to getting ready for next year. That's just what needs to happen. CU fans, CU gonna lose again? Season over? Nah, man. This season's been freaking phenomenal. If you've been following this team for a long time, man, this season has still been a dream, and it has been so much fun. Absolute success. I've said from the get-go, if we can get to 6 wins and get to a bowl game, get our first bowl game win, that is an A+ season from Coach Prime. We are still able to reach that. But even if we don't, this just because I can't give an A+ grade does not mean it's not still an A grade. I'm like, this year's been freaking awesome, man. Zion coming in here saying, oh, yes, thank you for this clarification. He already had the medical red shirt. This will just be a different red shirt. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for stressing that. Yes, he had the medical last year at Houston. This is going to be another red shirt. So he'll come in as a sophomore next year again. Thank you guys for that clarification. MB saying Coach Nick Williams is on a roll with these DNs. Yes, 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 yes. I love it. And again, guys, I want to stress, man, because we had the loss last week, man, we haven't been talking a ton about it, but I want to give Charles Kelly and that defense, their props. We saw them make a significant jump and improvement coming out of the bye week. That was great to see. And imagine when we start getting some more reinforcements, man, what this team's going to look like next year. I love it. Returning most of our starters on defense, it's going to be great. Sleepy Floyd coming in here saying if it's snowing on game day, that's going to be a good time to run the football. Yeah, I'm going to need to check the forecast for what it looks like next week. I'm not sure. David, can you talk about Nasir White? Let me see here. I don't know Nasir White. I'm looking him up right now. Help me out with that, Zion. Are you talking about Omar White? Yes, Nasir is definitely a lock. Where's my phone? Felt like I might have taken a screenshot of this news earlier today. That's what I do when I have to, I'm trying to remember stuff on the go. Give me a second here. Well, I'm not seeing any of that. I'm going to go farther in the chat. Hopefully you guys can give me some details on him. Nir Johnson. Okay. Thank you. I'm looking him up right now. That name does sound familiar. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I've had a great day. Okay. Oof. All righty. Yes. Okay. This is the guy right now that's crystal ball to Florida. He's a commit to Florida. But we're making a last-second push, which is great. Let me go ahead and bring up his 24/7 profile here. Yes, I remember reading a little bit about him the other day. This is great. Oh, man. I mean, this guy would be such a huge get, man. Number 14 defensive lineman. I mean, 6'4.5", 300 pounds. I mean, get him here with Coach Mo, man. We could have him clogging up the middle at 310, 315 pounds from Dublin, Georgia. I love the fact that we're recruiting really well out of the state of Georgia. And I'm sure with Antoine Hill committing, we're going to see even more success in the state of Georgia. 94 overall rating. And right now, Florida has been in the lead. That's where he's currently committed. But, we're making some noise. He's coming here, I believe, on a visit here soon, if I remember correctly. But I'll go ahead and read his prospect profile. An athletic big man that has made an impact on both sides of the ball in a Peach State region that has turned out plenty of FBS talent. Size hasn't been third-party verified, but is believed to be over 6'5", 300 pounds with additional length in the arms. Explosive through the hips and has the athletic markers to back that up. 30-inch vertical jump at his size to go along with strong track record and field throwing numbers. Could possibly settle in as a swing offensive tackle at the Power 5 level, but is viewed by most schools as an interior defensive lineman on Saturdays. At his best on defense when he's playing assignment football and asked to plug the A or B gap, he uses a wide base to hold his ground and then fights off blockers with a powerful upper half. Has flashed the ability to redirect, but must get better at working laterally down the line of scrimmage if he's going to emerge as a true difference maker in the middle. Needs to also learn how to bring it every snap. Should be viewed as a developmental prospect with a higher ceiling given how he moves for someone his size. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, that sort of scouting report gets me very excited about Nir Johnson. Big boy, big boy. Him clogging up the middle with Omar White. And I feel like we've seen, improvement from some of our defensive linemen that we have that are a little young right now. Of course, Bishop Thomas has had his moments on both sides of the ball this year, which is great. I think Amari McNeil is making a lot of strides, which is great. But now we're really starting to build the trenches, build our depth. I do remember seeing about this over the last couple of days. He would be absolutely substantial getting here to Boulder. This defense, again, once Charles Kelly is able to get kind of a consistent pass rush, we're able to collapse that pocket a little bit easier, a little bit more often. This defense is going to take more steps. They're going to be more consistent. Quarterback isn't going to have nearly as much success as they've had against us. So I love the fact that this coaching staff understands where they need to go with recruiting. And I love how we're going right after, SEC committed guys. That's a huge deal. So that's why we need to continue to give to the collective. We need to see what's going on here. Huge, huge, huge progress being made in the trenches. We knew that this would take at least a few recruiting cycles. So we're making substantial gains there. That is absolutely true. I'm going to scroll back up and get to some of your other comments. Zion, following the money doesn't always pan out. Yes, you can see that happen with, the fan base or the college team that I love to pick on, which is the Texas A&M Aggies. They're the prime example of this, pun intended. You can give all these players the bag, but if the culture isn't right, if the leadership isn't right, if it's a toxic environment, it doesn't matter how much money you're going to give. You're never going to meet expectations. You got to find the right environment for you where you're getting the coaching. There is a good winning environment there. And then you're also getting the money. That's still definitely important. And Colorado, we're continuing to build that collective. Absolutely. Eric Morris, the king is coming to Boulder. Man, KingJoseph. How can you not love that name? I love that name. It gets me pumped up. D. Regalo. All Texas schools are paying out. Yes, Texas A&M, TCU, Baylor, Stephen F. Austin. Follow the money. You will see. Football is life in Texas. And yes, just because, again, like I said, it has to do with not only getting the bag, but what's the right culture? Where's the right leadership at? I think Texas has a handful of really good football programs, some being on the rise, and others like Texas A&M that just might continue to be a pit of disappointment. But we're getting there. But you're right, D. Regalo. SMU, yeah, they got that oil money. And that's why you're seeing them get into the ACC, finance it themselves. And it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to see how all this goes, because all these colleges have been paying their players for freaking ever. And SMU just got sloppy with it, years and years ago. I'm glad that they're going to be at a Power 4 level here coming up soon. And it's going to be really interesting to see how their rebuild goes, or like their, maybe not rebuild, but, they're building into the next phase, how that all goes. It's going to be really interesting. Tony Bass coming in here saying Alton redshirted so he can transfer. that would be pretty interesting. Um, wouldn't he still have to sit out a year, or is it because I forget how all this transfer stuff works, Tony based? Maybe you can help me out with this because you could have like a medical transfer, right? Can you, or like your one free transfer? Um, Usually that has to be approved if it's like a medical or mental health type waiver. So I'm not sure. I mean, if he looks to transfer, I don't know if that is guaranteed that he would be able to play immediately. That would have to be approved by the NCAA, and we've seen just how up and down that's been. But maybe you guys can help clarify for me. He's definitely within his rights to transfer. Could he play immediately? I don't know if that's guaranteed right now. Yeah, the D line J dot is going to be really young, and yeah, it's going to be fun to see how these guys get coached up. I think Nick Williams and South and Sari, um, they're the right guys for the job. I think that we've seen improvement um, with the line throughout the year. It hasn't always been like consistent and steady improvement up, but I think if you look at where this D line was at week one, we're at a higher level now going into week 10. Jermaine Young, will Bishop start next year? I have no idea. I have no idea. I'd like to see him on both sides of the ball a little bit more. I'd like to see him on offense more, man. You guys are right. Put him in at fullback. I want to see more of that. Uh, we need more players with an attitude blocking for our offense, and he definitely brings it. I think he's injured right now, which is why we didn't see him against Stanford, nor did we see him last week against UCLA. Could have been helpful. All right, let's see what else y'all got to say. DiRegallo, you're right on the money. Playing in the Big 12, CU just needs to get bigger on the lines. Yes, absolutely. And again, what I've been calling for as the keyboard coach is get some of these bigger guys on our line in. But man, it was a mess once we started swapping these guys out last week. I'm wrong. I'm wrong, because some of the guys that I've been hoping to see on the field, I mean, they weren't even getting hands on the defensive lineman once the ball was snapped. It was ugly. So not only do we need to get bigger, but we need to get quicker on that line. To Corey Smith, man, I feel Bukar flipping. Man, his Instagram energy has been off lately. I would love it. Obviously, he has a lot of close connections here with other players and parents of players here, at CU. I feel good about that right now. And we haven't had any secondary commits yet for 2024, which is pretty interesting. I think, obviously, um, I'm not an insider, so this is all just speculation, but I think we haven't seen any of those guys commit because we're going to have maybe one or two big fish flip and commit. That's what we do. That's what we do in the secondary, right? Jermaine Young. David, should Charlie get more playing time? Do you think he could perform on a big stage? Sure. I think he's a pretty decent running back. I think that there would be a handful of schools where he could be on scholarship at the Division 1 level. Not really sure how many at the FBS level. Definitely a handful, and most definitely at the FCS level, no doubt. But our group is very deep. Would I like to see him get some action with uh, Alton McCaskill redshirting? Sure, but I'm kind of indifferent to it right now. When we have been able to run the ball, I've been happy with Hankerson. I've been happy with Sy'veon Wilkerson, with Dylan Edwards, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to give a guy a shot and see how he's going to do. Put some more pressure on people. As a walk on, I always love to see those walk on guys get a chance. But I don't know if that's something that we can expect. Giggity. Did I hear that right? That UCLA players had things stolen from their locker room as well? That's what Coach Prime said. Just terrible. And the Rose Bowl, man, what a joke, man. What a joke. You're having 140 plus security people there. That's why I think this had something to do with the security contractors, man. It just does not make sense when you have that many guys there, that much increased security, and then stuff gets stolen. Just makes too much sense to me. All right. Gonna wrap this up here in just a few minutes. Zion coming in here, giving this clarification that I wanted. Alton can't transfer because he's an undergrad, so he will need to be a graduated player before he were to transfer. I guess if he's really been hitting the books for his first 3 years, he could probably do that. But man, that's hard to do. Hey, that's hard to do even if you're just a normal student, right? All right. Jennifer, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you as always. Good to see all of y'all. A lot of familiar faces. Eli, hope you're doing well. That's nice that Coach Prime apologized to the O-line for his comments. Again, when you're somebody that, just doesn't sugarcoat anything like Coach Prime does, man, sometimes, man, you're going to have those comments. And again, the offensive line, I'm sure that they would tell you that their performance has not even been close to what the standard is set at and what is expected. So I'm sure that, everybody plays for their spot every year in college football, and I'm sure these guys are on notice, just like everybody else should be. Every single year you got to play for your spot. Let's see. Giggity says, I like to see more other players in press conferences after the game. I think that would be nice too. I think that's all I got to say with that. Let's give us Bishop Thomas over again. That's what would be nice. JV coming in here. Why isn't Dennis Thurman Prime's defensive coordinator? He might not want to be it. Might be that simple. It seems like he's more interested in kind of doing more behind the scenes work rather than running an entire defense. Sort of like you could ask why Mike, come on, the head coach from Minnesota. Why am I blanking on his name? He's also a quality assistant guy here, quality control guy here, NFL head coach, longtime defensive coordinator. I think it's a grind, and I think sometimes for these older guys that have already made careers for themselves, they don't necessarily want that. I can understand that because it is an absolute grind. Guap alert, good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. And yeah, these linemen need to hear that they played like hot garbage. And man, yeah, sometimes you just got to face the music. I think, again, what we were talking about, are these players intentionally letting Shedeur get hit? I don't know why you'd want to risk your own, career with getting to the next level, or heck, even if you're planning to go play somewhere else eventually as a grad transfer or whatever, why would you ever want to put out bad tape? Makes no sense. That's one thing that I can't get with. These guys know here. Shedeur was the first commit. So y'all know who you're going to come and play with, right? Man, are we still talking about Cormani? Man, Cormani's great. Freshman year, again, I feel like some of y'all expected Cormani McClain to be Travis Hunter. Cormani McClain is Cormani McClain. Travis Hunter is an absolutely once in a generational talent. And I don't think we should be comparing anybody through the lens of Travis Hunter, no matter how talented they are coming out. It's not fair. All right. Let's see what else. Renee Owens, good to see you again. Thank you for tuning in. Emotion sometimes causes some to say things that we should not say. Be slow to speak and slow to become angry. Coach Prime is going to be all right. I'm glad he apologized. Yeah, I love to see that. We're all human. There's been things on my shows that I'm like, well, should I have said that? No. Or did I get some information wrong before I spoke? Yeah. You just come back and you apologize for it. We're all human. You know, and I love the fact that like it takes humility to do that, even though we all do it. It takes a level of humility to share, what, I was wrong, I was in the wrong, and especially after games, especially during games and after games, like emotions run high and hot. So Coach Prime isn't the first coach to say something that he shouldn't have said or whatever after a press conference. And he's not going to be the last one. I'm glad that he apologized, but I just appreciate how he's going to give you his thoughts in the moment. Again, he could have shut down that press conference early after a few minutes, but he said, no, I'm going to answer all the questions. Went for almost 20 minutes. It shows that he's not afraid to face the music, and he'll get in front of the cameras and speak when things are great, or when things are down. And that's what I really appreciate about him. We're going to celebrate, we're going to do the Shedeur and everything when we win. When we're celebrating like that, we got to understand we got to take it on the chin when we don't get the job done. I think this team understands that. All right. What did CP apologize for? That he's like, well, long term, we're going to get all new offensive linemen. That's what he said on Saturday. So, hey, y'all be nice to each other in the chat. Don't be all mean. This is supposed to be a lot of fun. We're having too good of a day to get each other down. All right. David, Shedeur needs to have a conversation with his dad about coming out early. Possibly. I don't think his stock is nearly as high as it was a few weeks ago. And so I don't think that you would see him drafted right now, even though I disagree. I don't think you would see him drafted within the top 10 right now. I think he wants to go for that number one. That is the only thing that's good enough in my eyes for how they're viewing things. You got to go number one. I think that we've seen, some of the things that like Bill Carroll brought up about Shedeur's, tendencies to hold on to the ball too long. And now we've seen that, yes, a lot of these sacks are blamed on the offensive line, but it's gotten to the point where sometimes he's running into these hits, he's running into these sacks. And that's something that I feel like he's got to improve on and show a little bit better pocket presence next year to lock up that number one overall draft pick. That's kind of what I think the goal is. And again, if there's still room to improve, if there is still stock to increase, for his draft status, I don't know why you'd want to cut this whole family affair short. Shiloh's there, his sister's there. Obviously, his dad is there coaching him. And again, Shedeur is going to be just fine. I really don't see what he has to lose going in for his senior season. Of course, everybody risks injury when they step onto the field. But I think next year they'll get that O-line cleaned up. I think he'll be much better protected. And I think he'll probably break his own records here at CU. Now, the one question that I do wonder, if this O-line continues to be terrible, is there just a time where you just sit Shedeur down? That's what I like, again, because we kind of know what's ahead right now, what this offensive line, what it showed 9 weeks in, it's probably going to be around the same. Maybe we'll see some marginal improvement, but I don't want anything to jeopardize him for next year when we get that extra or those extra reinforcements coming in here. So Yeah, similar to Alton McCaskill. So I don't want him to play hurt or injured, rather. I don't want him to play injured. Everybody's playing hurt at this point in the year. So, anyways, guys, I really appreciate it. I got to hop on to another meeting, so I got to let y'all go. Still trying to coordinate a story time with Colin Moore from Life in Football for this week. I don't know if that will be coming tonight. I have some other things to take care of, but we'll play that by ear. I will be back tomorrow with a couple different shows, so be sure to tune in. Will I be back later today or not? I don't know. We'll figure that out. But always appreciate you guys for chiming in. Be sure to hit that like on the way out. Let me know in the comments and the replay what you guys are thinking about all these things. And as always, go Buffs.